Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm Ramsey personality George Campbell, joined by one of the best friends a guy could ask for, Dr. John Deloney, and we are here to take your calls to help you take the right next step, whether that's with your money, your work, your relationships, your mental health. We want to see you be well in all areas, and John is an expert at that for sure.
Hey, man, when it comes to like being great friends, I think I've called you asking for your advice 100% more than the times you've called me.
Well, to be fair, your questions to me are money questions. If I'm asking you a question, it is like an hour of therapy.
That's probably true.
So it's a different situation.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
But I'm going to play that card.
You got a new baby coming, so
I will be asking
the phone
you for
lines are open at the Deloney house.
All the parenting advice from Dr. John. He's figured it out.
Just go ahead and send it to johndeloney.com/ask, and we'll see if it gets through Jenna. And
they won't let me through.
That's true. Just call myself.
They've screened my emails and calls. So the number to call, 888-825-5225. If you want some advice, you want some confirmation, affirmation, we're here for you. Sal joins us up first in Los Angeles. Sal, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. How can we help?
Okay, so my question, I've been listening to you guys for a while, and I haven't quite heard an answer on, I'm in debt, and I am trying to get out of debt. I'm going through the baby steps. I'm on step 2, and my biggest problem is budgeting. And my question is, how do I need budgeting tips for someone who doesn't make a set regular income. I am a bartender. My income fluctuates from night to night. I don't know. I just don't know how to set aside money when I don't know exactly what's coming in.
Cool. How much debt do you have?
I am sitting at about $13,000 right now, with about $10,000, a little more than that, in student loans.
Okay. And tell me about this bartending gig. Have you been doing this for a while? Like, what did you make last year doing this?
Let's see. So with just the bar, I work 2 jobs. So I work a morning job, which is not bartending. And then my bartending with tips and everything, I pulled in probably close to 75.
Amazing. And you think you'll do about the same this year?
A little more, I think, through the bartending, because it's at a restaurant, it's not at a bar. So we raised a lot of our menu prices. So we've just been seeing kind of an influx in that.
Cool. Okay, so you're talking about a regular income. I love that you're still wanting to do the budget, because a lot of people go, well, I make a regular income. The budget's really not for me. The budget is especially for those with a regular income. It just looks a little bit different for you. You know what a bad night would look like, right? Or a bad month, your lowest month. What would that be?
I mean, I do the math real quick, because
it's not
I
zero.
think of it on a nightly basis than a monthly basis. I think I average around $220 a night, but
let's say per paycheck or so. I know it's different because of tips and all that, but on a bad week or two, I'm not going to make less than $1,000 a week, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So we can base on that our budget and go, all right, if we're going to have a prioritized spending plan, which is what you would have, we're going to prioritize our food, shelter, utilities, and transportation.
Right.
Those things have to get paid first. What's after that? What's the next priority? Insurance bills, things that have to get paid?
Right. Yeah, like monthly stuff, like just phone or internet or insurance, stuff like that.
Great. And then beyond that, we're going to go, how much can we allocate towards debt this month? And each month it's going to look different. Some months you're going to be able to throw $2,000 at that debt. Some months it may be $1,000.
Right.
And so that will help you start to map this out and go, okay, I can't make a perfect plan, but I can make a prioritized spending plan and know I'm going to have whatever's after that $2,000 of expenses is all going to be gravy I can throw at debt. So that's how you want to set up your budget. You're just going to make a list of priorities and go down the list until you run out of money for that month.
Got it. And then the surplus just goes to the debt.
Exactly. And dude, you're making 6 figures, right?
Just under. With the second job, it's about 97.
Awesome. So $13,000 making 97. How quickly can you pay this off? A few months?
Before Christmas.
Yeah, a few months for sure. I'm thinking sometime within the fall.
I love it. Dude, you're going to be there so fast, and you're not scared of work.
Let's don't do sometime in the fall. Let's get really specific, like September 1 or at the latest October 1, and let's see if you can make that happen. You hustle too hard, man. You work too hard.
Set that goal.
Yeah, you're wired in there. Let's don't be like, sometime this fall. October 1, come hell or high water, I'm having this stuff paid off. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah, if you say I'm going to put $3,000 a month towards this thing, and if you're short of that, I'm going to go, can I pick up an extra shift? I'll take that. Hey, they called out sick, I'll jump on that. And that helps you stay on track and stay focused.
And this is not about a balanced life. You are living an out of balance life. You are living a maniacal, lions are chasing me and I don't want to die life until you get this debt paid off. Good for you, brother.
Right.
Crushing it. Man, I want to be like Sal when I grow up. That's impressive. I mean, to have the 2 jobs, a lot of people go, well, John, I can't do more. I can't do the 2 jobs. Right. What do you tell people who feel like doing that hard thing is just, John, I want to live my life, man. I don't want to sacrifice that much. I don't work a second or third job.
If I'm being totally honest, I don't have a lot of sympathy for that. I don't know. I just am not wired that way. My problem is on the other end is my wife telling me, hey, we've been running for 20 years. We're safe. Slow down. Let's live our life.
Well, you've looked into the science and you talk about this in Financial Peace University, but this idea that our brain is saying you're not safe.
Right.
There's something attacking us. An animal is chasing us and we're not safe until XYZ.
And the problem with the until is culturally speaking and psychologically speaking, that until that benchmark, that finish line moves all the time, right? If I can just get $10,000 in the bank, can you imagine how that would feel? And I'm coming to believe that most of us think things are going to feel a certain way when we get there. If I just find the right person, the quote unquote, the one, I'll feel it. Or if I just get my dream job, I'll feel it. Or if I just get $100,000 in the bank, I'll feel this way. And we're so disillusioned because that feeling never comes. That feeling is not real. It's Hollywood. It's an illusion. And so we don't know another way. So we just hit the gas and run harder, trying to find and chase that feeling. And that's when you get yourself into a lot of trouble. You burn yourself out. You start chasing feelings and you get one more drink, or you start responding to texts of that person you're not married to, or whatever the thing is. You just start chasing that feeling instead of following a plan. And I'm telling you, I'm the worst about it. I'm the worst. I love that sense of feeling. I love feeling wired up. I love feeling really low. And I don't like sticking to a plan that we've all agreed on, and this is what we're going to do. Cody, the guy who runs my life here at the office, he's like, hey, this is our plan. We agreed on it. I'm like, yeah, but what about this and this? And he's like, golly, man. And my wife too. So I think it's the discipline is, I don't care how I feel. I don't care what the state of my motivation. Here's what we wrote down. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make this thing happen. That's what I told him. Get a date on the calendar and come what may, hit that date. And then we're going to figure out the next round and we're going to not move that benchmark on us all the time.
Yeah, squishy leads to ish. You can't spell squishy without ish, Sean. I just made that up.
Tweet that. That's your Instagram for the next 5 months.
More gold coming up on The Ramsey Show. Give us a call at 888-825-5225. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, you know that sinking feeling when you make an offer on a house you love and then you hear there's another offer? You need the Churchill Mortgage Home Buyer Edge. Super fast pre-approval and a secured interest rate. Plus a $5,000 seller guarantee gives your offer the best chance of being accepted. The Home Buyer Edge from Churchill gives you an advantage over those other guys. Go to churchillmortgage.com today to learn more.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Campbell, joined by Dr. John Deloney. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Well, John, big news. Big news. People have been waiting for this. They've been worried about it, and it's finally official. Student loan payments will restart in October. Can you believe it?
Yes.
The game of will they, won't they is no longer. We can all stop wondering.
Jeez. All right, so I want to go back through the history of this, okay? This is from this article here that was by Andy Nova back in June 20th. So President Trump first announces the stay on federal student loans in March of 2020, when the pandemic hit. And then between Trump and Biden, the pause has been extended 8 times. Says here, nearly all people eligible for the relief have taken advantage of it, with less than 1% of qualifying borrowers continuing to make payments on their debt.
Oh, boy.
Number one, that's insane. I understand people pausing right when the pandemic kicked off and everyone's got fired and everybody's like, hey, you can't come to work. I get that. But over the last 3 years, we've had the lowest unemployment in the history of the United States, and we've had job opportunities literally everywhere. And this thing has just been hanging over people. And George, you and I have taken the call over and over and over and over again. And for everybody else, you have, it's late June, so let's say it's the beginning of July, August, September. You have a 3 to 4 month runway to prepare for this thing. And George, nobody's going to do it. Everybody's going to wait until October and get so mad. Oh my gosh, this came and then we got to pay. Yes, you borrowed money and you signed your name to it. You had to pay all yours off.
Yep.
I had to pay 6 figures of mine off. It's just what we did. We signed up for it. And now we're all mad that they didn't wave the magic wand to make it go away. And here's one more funny thing, George. If, let's say, Biden had been able to just discharge all student loans back when he wanted to a year ago, we would have already run up X number of $100 million nationally.
Because we didn't stop the bleeding.
Because we didn't stop making student loans. We didn't stop college, right? And so we'd be right back on the path to where we are right now. And so all of this is a big quagmire of a mess.
Yeah, I just looked at the recent numbers. We're at $1.6 trillion. And part of that is because nobody's paid off their loans in the past 3 years, so the number doesn't change much. It just gets added to. And the key here is, John, while payments restart in October, interest starts in September, which means your student loan debt will grow in balance if you don't do something about it. And so if I were you, I wouldn't wait until September. I wouldn't wait until October. I would start paying it off right now. Find out exactly how much you owe. Chances are life has changed. Your loans could have been sold to another servicer. So you've got to go figure all of this stuff out and get your head out of the sand and go, we got to make a plan.
And let's be really clear about what this plan means. And I think this is a hallmark of this show is we don't shy away from telling you hard truth, even when it's uncomfortable for everybody. If you are one of the millions of people who bought a car on some sort of 7-year note when cars were super expensive, and you were able to make that loan work in your household income, not including your student loans, you got 3 months to sell that car, period. If you bought a big, humongous house and you didn't take into account that you owe 6 figures in student loans, you're gonna have to sell your house because they're gonna take it from. You're gonna lose all this mess. You got 3 to 4 months to get on this thing. But when we say make a plan, we don't mean like, well, I guess we're gonna have to just stop buying organic grapes this month. For millions of you, this will be shapeshifter because you made long-term plans by borrowing money against a depreciating asset in a car, by buying a house you couldn't afford, with the idea that these were just going to magically go away. And they're not. They're not.
Yeah, everyone was under the illusion that they had an extra $400 a month to spend now because the student loan payments are paused. Bad news, these aren't going away. You can't even bankrupt student loans.
No,
and if you don't
can't
believe
discharge
me,
them.
go watch the Borrowed Future documentary where we talk to a lawyer who very scarily lets us know just how difficult it is to bankrupt on your student loans.
George,
You riled John up, guys. You riled Deloney up.
It's just rare that I'm without words. Please be I don't mean to do this, but I'm going to. Please be a person of integrity when it comes to October, and don't head for social media. Don't head to your local senator's office and scream and yell. Everybody knows this is coming. Everybody knows it's coming. And if you make payment 1 in September and payment 2 in October, and the Supreme Court magically wipes away 10 grand of this or whatever, fine. You've still done the right thing. But you can't show up in October. And I'll say this as directly as I can. You cannot show up in October and be surprised by this. They're giving us, the government never gives us this kind of warning. They're giving us 4 months. And really, they started telling us this a couple of months ago. So we've had 5, 6. We've got plenty of time to do the hard things that we have to do to make this thing work. And let this be yet another validation of the Ramsey Show. Stop borrowing money. Just stop borrowing money. Stop.
It's a simpler way to live. Well, we did a poll on the Ramsey Show YouTube channel. Over 44,000 people took this poll, and it turns out 72% do not have student loans. Which, if you're doing the math at home, that means over 12,000 of you who actually follow us on YouTube, you follow this plan, you still have those student loans hanging around your neck, holding you down. And here's a few comments from YouTube that we got. One person said, I took Dave's advice back in 2020 when the payment pause started, and I paid off my student loans by the end of that year. It took a few sacrifices, but it was definitely worth it. Another one said, got rid of student loan debt a month ago. It's awesome. Now putting extra money into principal of my mortgage. Look at that. So it's possible for everyone to pay off their student loans.
But let's say this too. We also know around Christmas time and into the new year, there was record levels of people putting life on credit cards, right? And we knew that there was record levels of spending at the same time on what we would call luxury items, right? Upgrading things. And so it wasn't a matter of people putting things on credit cards to survive. It was propping up a lifestyle because inflation was high and people wanted to continue to go on vacations and continue to buy nice things and continue the life that they were living before when inflation was zero, was very, very low. And so many people have continued to borrow their way towards trying to prop up their lifestyle and not factoring this in. And this $400, dude, this $800, however it's gonna hit your household, it's gonna be ugly for folks who didn't prepare.
Yeah, well, they're saying a lot of folks are going to default because they're confused on what they owe. They've been ignoring it.
And see,
they just hope it goes away.
This article talks about the confusion. Honestly, I don't buy it.
Well, there's no excuse.
If this is me and I haven't paid for 3 years, I'm going to go back to where I started. I'm going to look at that payment and I'm going to pay that payment on September 1. Period. Actually, I'm going to pay that today. But if I can't afford it, I'm going to figure it out. Yes, and pay what you can pay. But I'm going to start back at that bill. Don't just walk around, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. That's like a middle school kid. Like, I didn't know I had to pick up my underwear. I have to change my underwear every day. Yes, every day. It's just like that. Don't make that dumb excuse, man.
Man.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's
frustrating. It's frustrating.
John, for a while, it's fun to point fingers and go like, well, inflation and cost of living. Have you seen the housing market? And John, the president, take a look at this guy. That's the reason for all my problems. Instead of looking inward, looking at the mirror and going, hey, maybe I am part of the problem. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is my lifestyle. Maybe my debt payments are killing me, whether I see them right now or not. And so what are the things we can control out of that entire equation? Inflation, cost of living, who's president? The guy in the mirror.
And maybe I would even go with fault. I didn't know what I was signing when I was 18. I didn't know what I was signing when I was 25. But I did. And so maybe even it's not a fault. It's a who's to blame. But there's one person that can take care of this, and that's the person in the mirror, right? And please, this is just your friend John talking. Don't wait till October and act surprised. Make a plan starting right now.
It's not all your fault, but it is your responsibility. Do what it takes to become debt-free. Do what it takes to get that freedom at all costs. No matter the sacrifice, you will find that it was well worth your time. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey guys, being free to make your own medical decisions is a big deal these days. Christian Healthcare Ministries gives members the freedom to choose the doctors and providers they want without the frustration of worrying about networks and with no waiting period to join. It's a membership-based nonprofit ministry where hundreds of thousands of Christians share funds to pay for and pray for each other's medical bills. For over 40 years, CHM has helped families living across all 50 states. So see if CHM could be right for your family. Check out more today at chministries.org/budget.
This is The Ramsey Show. Listen, we have people who tune in to every episode of this show, and they know all the stuff we teach about money. They could sit here at the desk and rattle off the advice, but they still feel stressed out and they feel stuck. Why is that? Well, because knowing what to do with your money isn't the problem, actually doing it is. Personal finance is 80% behavior, only 20% head knowledge. And the proven way to change that behavior is by going through Financial Peace University. This is the class that's the difference between trying to get in shape on your own versus hiring a personal trainer. You'll have a coordinator holding you accountable and other people in your class pushing you on, cheering you on. And that's why this class has worked for millions of people. After 9 weeks, 9 lessons, you will never handle money the same way again, and you'll make progress faster than ever. So don't just listen to the show and listen to this advice. Commit to doing what it takes to win. Join an FPU class at RamseySolutions.com/FPU. That's RamseySolutions.com/FPU. All right, let's go out to Candace in Richmond, Virginia. Candace, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. My question is, I am almost $60,000 in debt, and I am not sure where to go from here.
You called the right place. Okay, so tell us about this debt. What's made up of the $60K?
So this was pre-Dave Ramsey stuff, but I have a HELOC. I have a personal loan, which was for taxes, because I ended up owing taxes. My car, I have a credit card, I have a 401k loan, and then my phones. And then there's a little bit of medical debt as well.
I think you've collected them all.
Yeah.
We're running out of types of debt you could even go get. Okay.
Right.
So what is your household income right now?
It is just under $70,000.
Okay. Is it just you?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So what are your next steps? Well, tell me about this. What do you have right now in the bank or things that you could sell?
Well, I do have my $1,000 emergency fund.
Good.
And as far as things I can sell, I've already sold some tools out of my garage, and I'm going through the rooms in my house, trying to declutter so that I can sell stuff and get it out.
Awesome. So we're already on the right track. And what do you do for work?
I do arbitration for an insurance company.
Okay. Are you able to take on a side hustle or two?
I've been thinking about it. I am a single mom, so my time is limited on what I can do, but yes.
Well, that's impressive. You're already crushing it. Is this she in daycare or he in daycare?
One is in school and one is in daycare.
Okay. But you're willing to do something, even if it's part-time, to try to create a little more income. Because I'm looking at the numbers here and I'm going, all right, $60K in debt, making $70. How much can we throw at this debt? $20, $30K. If we're lucky, right? And that gets it done in 2 or 3 years?
Right.
That's what we're looking at now. So I'm going, how do we speed this thing up as we start putting these into our debt snowball, smallest to largest? Let's start attacking it. But right now, we just need a bigger shovel compared to the hole.
Right.
Do you have any support or help with your kids?
No.
So all by yourself. What do you do for a living?
I work for an insurance company.
Okay.
Right. Currently, I'm working from home, but we are going back a couple of days a week starting next month.
What is that going to do to your internal budget? Is that going to cost you more in childcare?
It's not going to cost me more in childcare, but it's going to cost me a lot more in gas because I live about an hour and a half from the building.
Oh.
Okay. And that was my bigger question. Is this what you want to do long term? Is there opportunities for you to begin to at least throw some lines in the water and see if there's not another $80 or $90 or $100,000 job out there instead of the $70,000 job that may even be closer to you, that may allow you to stay, continue working from home if that works for you. But anytime I feel, I just really don't like the either or scenario, and I always at least want to try and see if there's a third or fourth or fifth option out there that I don't know about. The other thing I want to tell you, how old are your kids?
6 and 3.
6 and 3. Okay. Have you been through it personally over the last 5-6 years?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I hate that for you. Sometimes the temptation in those moments is to pour every remaining ounce we have into those kids as some sort of protective prophylactic, like a way to try to insulate them from the hurt that has been going on and it might still be continuing to some degree inside that house. Is that fair?
Yes.
I want to tell you the other side of that. When you don't owe anybody any money and mama is financially safe, there's a piece that courses through that house. It's the air that gets pumped into that home that is restorative in a way that you can only dream about right now on this side of owing $60,000. I tell you that to tell you if there's a way that you can secure $30,000 in a side hustle, $15,000 in a side hustle, and it's going to cost you a little bit more in this or a little bit more in that, and it's going to cost you the most expensive thing, which is your time with these little ones. If you can do that for a small amount of time, you do that for 6 months, you do that for a year, you do that for 18 months, the back end of having a home that is anxiety-free, a home that is peaceful, for those little babies' nervous system, for your nervous system, it's just such a gift. And so I know the temptation is to say, yeah, but I've got these moments are so precious, and God, they are. But man, whole peaceful moments on the back end they're just worth their weight in gold.
Right.
So if you can find it, go for it.
I'm not opposed to another job.
No, I know you're not.
I don't like change.
Yeah, I know. You've been through enough for the last few years.
And I've been with my job for 17 years, but I do want to get out. I don't want to do this. I don't like the direction they're going. I've never needed a resume. I don't even know how to do a resume.
Well, we got you. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to stay on the line. I'm going to send you a couple of things. I'm going to send you. We're going to send you a link to Ken Coleman's resume builder. He's going to walk you through. There's a bunch of resume templates there, and I'm going to send you his Get Clear assessment that says, okay, I've got this skill set. I've been doing this job for this long. What are some other things I might be interested in? What are some other things I might be instantly qualified for? What are some things that I'm really close and I just need to go get some more education, get some more schooling, and I'm right there. So I'm going to send you that, and we're going to send you his book, Proximity Principle, which is this simple way of getting connected with people in your local community who may be doing the job that you want to be doing, and how do I reach out and make that thing happen? Is that cool?
Okay. Yes.
So hang on the line here. We're going to get you taken care of.
I love it. And Candace,
Sure.
What is the car worth versus what you owe?
I owe about $6,400 on my car, and it's worth probably $17 or $18.
Okay.
My car payment's $174.96 a month.
Okay. I might consider if you sold that thing, you'd have $10,000 to go buy yourself a nice cash car that could get you from A to B just fine while you get out of this debt, and it might help you see the light at the end of this tunnel. If you can clear 10% of your debt next week, it will give you a little bit of hope. And I think that's what you need right now is a little bit of proof that this stuff actually can work, that you can get out of this, and then start doing the math, going, all right, if I'm going to try to get rid of this debt in 2 years, that's, $25 to $30K a year, that's $2,500 a month. How do I make up that much margin through spending less and making more? And that will help you stay on target, so you're not just hoping and wishing. Instead, you go, I'm going to be debt-free 2 years from now, no matter what, come hell or high water. I'm going to be there. And on top of all that stuff we just gave you, I'm going to gift you 1 year of Financial Peace University and 1 year of Every Dollar Premium. so that you can start to map out that plan, map out your income, get encouraged by the videos. You can join a virtual class online.
Do that. You need a gang.
Crazy.
You need a gang to walk with you.
You're doing this alone right now, and you don't have to. There's millions of people who are on the same journey who can encourage you, who can get you connected to other places and give you some ideas. That's what this is all about. So hang on line. We're about to send you a whole bunch of stuff, and I hope it gives you a little bit of hope, pun intended. So thank you so much for the call, Candace. We are cheering you on. This is The Ramsey Show. Hey, if you're a new listener to the show and you want to dive deeper into the baby steps, into the stuff we're talking about, you can go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button, and we will help you figure out the next best step for your financial journey based on where you're at today. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started. Our question of the day is brought to you by Neighborly, your hub for home services. You can trust Neighborly's local service providers to repair, maintain, and improve your home. Visit Neighborly.com to find experts in your area and schedule services today.
All right, today's question comes from Rachel in Oklahoma. Rachel writes, why does getting current on my 4 walls and necessities in baby step 0 feel like the most emotionally draining thing in the world to get through? My financial situation feels taxing and heavier than it's ever been. How do I work through this and remain hopeful? Mm-hmm. George, you're kind of the baby step 0 originator, man.
Yeah, I remember being here back in 2013 when I first started this plan, and I think what she's describing here is having to face reality potentially for the very first time. Like looking in that financial mirror and going, oh my gosh, this is what all the bills add up to versus my income, and this is the actual debt totals, and here's the interest rates, and here's all the fine print and all the statements, and it just feels overwhelming, like the walls are coming in on you. And the key is you can't stay there. The plan is not, hey, just look at it all, and then just, you'll be all right. The plan is, what do we do from here? What do we do? How do we make a plan? How do we get on that budget? How do we make a plan to get rid of the debt? And that's where you start to feel some hope. And John, you speak to kind of facing that reality and grappling with sometimes what you didn't want to see in that mirror.
Yeah, there's no way towards emotional wellness or even physical wellness, spiritual wellness, unless you take an inventory of where you are, right? And so there's something powerful about getting that first blood test back from a reputable doctor, and they sit you down and they go, whoa. Right. There's that first time you sit down with a counselor. I'll never forget sitting down with Dr. Smith and just vomiting for 2 hours. Here's all that's going on. And he sat down. I mean, he was sitting down and he said, hey, man, here's what it sounds like is going on. And he nailed me to the wall, and he was right. And I didn't want to believe it. Right. Or there's those moments I've had in my marriage when it is almost it's hanging on barely. And my wife and I have both had to sit down and say, okay, what are we going to do next? Is this it? Is this it? Are we calling it? Or are we going to have to control, delete, and rebuild this thing from the floor up? And those moments are never fun, and they're never glorious, and they're never exciting. I love how Rachel says it. It feels like it's emotionally draining. Yes, it is. Owning reality is the worst. That's why, honestly, you cannot do it alone effectively, right? There's great internet stories about like, I just went to the gym and I started crushing it, and 4 years later, I lost 700 pounds. That happens. That's not most of us. Most of us need somebody to sit with us or a couple of people and say, yeah, it's emotionally draining. Here's what the next right move is.
And that's one of the keys to Financial Peace University. What I think makes it so powerful and so successful is not because, man, those lessons they're exactly, yes, the knowledge is there and it's very motivating to watch the videos, but a key component is accountability and community and structure. I got to show up once a week, and they're going to wonder why I didn't show up to that next class. That accountability, that community going, oh, I'm also not alone. Other people have done dumb stuff too. Half of you listening to the show listen because you're like, oh, I'm not that bad. That makes me feel better. That person's crazy. Yeah, I'm out of control a little bit too, but we need to know that we're not crazy. We're not alone. Other people can win. Those people look like me. I can do this too. And so if that's you, get connected with other people, get connected to an FPU class. It makes all the difference.
And if, regardless of what type of reality you're having to face, that you're in an abusive relationship and you're not doing this anymore, or that your kid is not okay, or that you're tired of being overweight and now you're going to make some significant changes. Whatever that reality is, please reach out and get somebody to sit with you. Whether you've got a couple of trusted friends, whether you've got a professional, whether it's a nutritionist or a counselor or a doctor, get somebody with you that will help you with some of the reflection as you work your way through it. It's tough. It feels taxing and heavier, as Rachel says, than it's ever been. Yes, reality will do that to us. The other beautiful thing about going through like a FPU class or sitting with a professional is they can show you all of the people who sat right where you are, and they're a success story after success story after success story. Millions of people have been right where you are. And so you may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you can head off into the darkness knowing that it's there.
Good word. Thank you for the question, Rachel. Let's go to the phones. Catherine joins us up next in Pittsburgh. Catherine, what's going on?
Hi, I'm a little bit nervous, but
you're all right. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Have you heard me and George? There's really nothing to be nervous about. You're good.
Yeah. So my question is, my husband and I have been married for about a little less than 2 years, and he's about to enter grad school for about 3 years, and I will be limited on the amount of work I can do. And I'm just getting really anxious and scared about it.
How come? Why is his grad school attendance impacting your ability to work?
So I'm about to have a baby, and then where we're living, we're not near any family, and there's limited daycare options. And he will be working probably in clinical, probably 60 hours a week.
Oof.
That kind of limits him.
I'm going to ask a crazy question. Call me ignorant.
Yeah.
Why is right now the time for him to go to grad school?
Well, we've been planning on it. So for the past year and 8 months, we've been saving pretty aggressively. We've saved about $230,000.
Wow.
Well done. But I'm still just in so much fear that it won't be enough because we're trying to cash flow school.
What's the program?
Which is he's a nurse, going to be a nurse anesthetist.
Okay. So that's expensive. Does he already have a master's or a bachelor's in nursing?
So we paid off $70,000 during our engagement for his bachelor's in nursing.
Okay.
And then when we got married, we basically just saved my entire income for the past almost 2 years to prepare for school, so we could cash flow it while also knowing that I'm probably going to be pregnant and have limited capacity to work.
How much of your inner angst is related to the fact that you're going to be moving and starting a family and a sense of impending loneliness? You're going to be all by yourself.
I think it's just like a lack of control. Like I feel like I'm definitely the planner in the relationship, and just the lack of.
Because it sounds like you've planned you've planned better than 99.9% of the people that call this show.
I feel like it's never going to be enough.
Yeah, and that statement right there, that's your anxiety talking. That's not reality. Because the reality is Catherine and her husband plan incredibly well. And Catherine and her husband have been through it. You had to pay off $70,000. That's a lot. That sucked. And then you turned around and saved $230,000 on the back end, so that never happened again. And you're having a baby, which for you controllers, you planners, those calendars go right out the window. When that baby cries, we got to deal with it, right? And that baby wakes up, we got to deal with it. Yeah. And so there is a total loss of control. And there's also a loss of control when you move to a whole new state in a whole new city, just as one of the most transitional moments of your life is happening, right? All that's true. The work I think ahead of you is, how can I get plugged into a group of young moms in my new community so that I don't wake up and it's been 4 months and the only other living person I've seen besides this 4-month-old is my exhausted in clinical rotation husband.
Yeah.
It sounds like the work ahead of you because you've taken care of the money part. Y'all are doing great.
And on the financial side, have you guys done a budget with just your income, even part-time, to go, are we going to be able to cover all the bills for the next few years?
Yeah, we probably have to find another way to pay for insurance because right now it's $600 a month. But yeah, for the most part.
And here's the deal. There is a possibility. Let's say y'all sat down and, like we just talked about in the previous segment, you got to own reality. We're going to do a hard budget, and he might need to postpone his enrollment for 1 year. And any program in the country will let him do that. He can punt it for 1 more year and save up the money, or he may tell the admissions person that, and they may say, well, dude, we'll just write you a scholarship in and we'll help you out, because they need the enrollment numbers these days. So it's just about owning reality and just being very clear on that budget.
Thanks for the call, Catherine. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books.
Hey, it's Dr. John Deloney. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pod's Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm George Campbell, joined this hour by Dr. John Deloney, and we are taking your calls about life, money, relationships, mental health, wellness, you name it, at this number, 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Zach joins us up first in Kansas City. Zach, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
Hey, not too bad. Just giving you guys a call here. I kind of got myself in a kind of a strange financial position here, and wondering if I need to sell my vehicle in order to kind of reset, my life and, kind of get out of a hole that I put myself in. I can go into the specifics of exactly what happened.
The way you're starting the call off sounds like you are dealing with shame. What has happened here?
Well, I'm 24 years old. I'm 2 years out of college, and unfortunately, I kind of got hooked up with the wrong people. And what I mean by that is I started gambling, sports gambling, casino gambling, and not that I've lost a ton of money, but it's definitely money that I probably could have used and spent better. I lost about $8,000 in about a 6-month span.
That's a ton of money.
Yes.
It's a lot of money.
And I definitely take it on the chin. What I did was irresponsible. It was immature and 100% something that is self-inflicted and that I did myself.
Well, you are correct. And I also want to suggest that we live in an ecosystem now that has made gambling seem like the right thing to do. It really helps out the education system in your particular state. It's a fun way to hang out with your friends. And if you look at the addiction statistics and the amount of money being spent on this, it's as though your colleges and universities, which have absolutely sold their freaking souls to this, are just, it's a great way to spend a weekend with your kids. Y'all should do heroin together. Y'all should all do cocaine. It would just make y'all get a lot more work done and talk a lot faster. It's insane. And so in a similar fashion, brother, yes, you did some dumb things, and you're one of millions of other men and women who are stuck holding the bag on this deal. And at the same time, since you were 18 years old and you showed up at this college, everyone around you, from your local government officials to the university that you attended, has told you what a great and wonderful thing this is. And so that's been in the air you're breathing too. So I want to, it's both and, right?
Yes.
So how much debt do you have?
Well, The good news is I don't have much. I have some. I do have it written down, and I can kind of go over it with you and let you know exactly where everything is broken down into.
Okay, what's the total?
Yeah, so I have roughly, I would say, everything together right around $50,000 in debt. That's between student loans, auto loan, and just credit card.
And that's not much to you?
Here's the thing. I have $17,000 in student loans. I have just under $1,000 in credit cards and $30,000 auto loan. And other than that, that's the only debt that I have.
All these words is just it's the only debt I just have. We got to stop using these modifiers. I want you to feel like, holy crap, this is a lot of debt. I am not safe. This isn't only $1,000 on the credit card. This isn't only $17,000. This is my life at stake. My future hangs in the balance. That's the kind of intensity you need to be feeling towards this debt if we want to get out of this hole. Because if it's only $1,000, then why even pay it off? I mean, it's really not even that. It's almost zero at that point. So I want you to start to change those words that you're using to trigger your own brain to tell yourself, I'm not okay. Something's got to change.
Okay.
Are you still gambling now?
No, I'm just shy of 60 days clean.
Awesome. Are all the apps off your phone? You don't have any access to them or anything?
No, I threw away. So when I was physically going to the casino, I had a player's card and whatnot. So all of those have been trashed. I haven't had the urge to go. I never really got involved in online gambling other than just sports betting through DraftKings. That app has been deleted. Okay. But I have no, I guess there's nothing at my fingertips that can allow me to gamble.
Have you transferred that initial addiction onto something else? Are you drinking more than normal or staying up later more than normal?
No, I'm not. I've never really been a drinker. I would say the most I ever drank in one sitting was probably maybe a 6-pack of beer. I just really am just not really into getting. I'll say this: I spent some time in college hungover, and it's a feeling that it's just not something I enjoy.
Okay. Well, I wasn't focusing as much on the alcohol as much as
right.
If we tell you to sell your car, and if you're calling us and you don't have a gambling addiction, and someone says, hey, should I sell my car to get me out of debt and I can still get my job done, I'm working from home, I'm making this kind of money, we might tell you, heck yeah, dude, sell your car. Yeah. If you're an addict, if you're really struggling with addiction, and we tell you to sell your car, it's just going to duct tape over the problem until tomorrow. And then it's going to reemerge somewhere else. And so if you tell me, hey, man, I had a phase in college. I went bananas. I learned an $8,000 lesson. I got hit in the mouth. I'm done with that. Then that's one path. If you tell me, man, I am struggling. I want to gamble every day. I'm not there yet. Then we're going to take another path.
Right.
What's your income?
The path that I'm trying. Yeah. So my income I'm 24 years old. I'm a freight and logistics broker. As of last year, my gross pay was $88,000.
Great. What's the car worth?
It's worth roughly about $55,000.
Yes, sell it.
So you're going to net $25,000. You're going to get a real reasonable car that is not $25,000, probably a $10,000 car that gives you an extra $15,000 to pay off more debt. And now we're going to be debt free within a few months, making $88,000.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking too.
But you can't spend more than $10,000 on a car.
So 10,000 is where it needs is the cutoff.
And I just made that number up, but I want it to be a car that you're going to have to like kind of duck your eyes when you walk into your office, and everyone will be like, "Dude, we know how much you make. Why are you driving that car?"
Right.
And here's the reason I need that. You've got to have that carrot dangling of like, man, I want to upgrade this car. Once I'm out of debt and I have that emergency fund, I'm going to upgrade this car. And the next time I own a car that I like, it's not going to own me.
But hey, I want to ask you before we get off the call. You're in path one that we talked about. You're not considered a gambling. You don't have an addiction. You're done with that mess. Is that fair?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
All right, cool. Congratulations, my man. I'm proud of you.
That's a big step. The hardest part is done. Now we just got to clean up this meth. Not meth at all, John.
This mess.
The addiction talk. Clean up this mess, man. Get rid of that car. Get something reasonable. Get out of debt so much faster by doing all that, and call it a get out of jail free card, and never go back into debt again.
If you're like most people, your home is your most valuable asset. And when you want to make improvements, it can feel like everything costs too much or takes too long. But something as simple as custom window coverings from Blinds.com can completely change your space and add value to your home. We've recommended Blinds.com for over a decade, so you know you can trust them. From blinds, drapes, and shutters to motorized shades, they make it easy and affordable to upgrade your entire home, and their team is ready to help with everything from design consultation to measuring and installation. Plus, there are never any misleading quotes or hidden fees. Everything's backed by their 100% satisfaction guarantee, and shipping is always free. See why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Go to Blinds.com now and save 40% off selected products. Visit Blinds.com today for more info.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I know a lot of you are planning to move sometime soon, and that is awesome. I'm excited for you, but I gotta be real. In most places around the country, you're still facing sky-high home prices, and interest rates, well, they're not exactly returning to record lows. And that doesn't make home ownership impossible, though. If you want to buy or sell, you've just got to make sure you're financially ready and that you've got a trusted and experienced real estate pro to walk you through it. Not a family friend who just got their license last month, not someone who does real estate as a part-time hobby. You need a pro who's a true expert in their local market and knows how to negotiate a strong deal. You can find those high-caliber Ramsey trusted agents through our endorsed local provider program. And since we vet these folks around the country, you're going to have the best support whether you're moving from Florida to Alaska or buying your first home somewhere in between. Go to RamseySolutions.com/agent to find a Ramsey trusted real estate agent today. That's RamseySolutions.com/agent. Carol joins us up next in D.C. Carol, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great. What's going on?
Okay. So my husband and I are about $96,000 in debt. We're looking to move back to Texas to be closer to family. I have 2 small children, 1 and 3 years old, and we have no family up here in D.C. But the caveat to that is he has 2 daughters from a previous marriage who are here. We're wanting to move back to Texas, sell the house. That'll completely pay off our debt. We'll downsize in house to about $100,000 minimum, and then be closer to family where I can start working full-time again and increase our income. I'm trying to reconcile my guilt and a bit of resentment that I'm building, feeling trapped up here in D.C.
Oh, Carol, how honest can I be with you?
Open up.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. Number one, you've got to change your language because your language is dishonest. You do have family in Washington, D.C. because you married a man with 2 daughters.
Very true.
You don't have biological family there, but you do have family there. And you can feel trapped, but you walked into the trap and set it yourself. You married a guy with family. Are you feeling disconnected from your family in Texas, or are you looking at Texas as a golden ticket to solve all of your financial problems?
No, my main goal is my children don't know their family. Him and I both have a family in Texas, too, and our 2 youngest daughters, they don't really know them.
And I see that as a challenge.
Yes.
But I also see them not knowing their half-sisters. I also see your husband not being in the lives of his biological daughter.
Exactly. That's where my guilt is coming from.
So tell me about this guilt.
I don't want to take my husband away from his children.
Yeah, I think that's the right move.
How does he feel about this as you guys talk about it?
We've talked about it. He does want to move back to Texas, and we were, playing with a plan of visitation and what that would look like. Him flying up every month to see them.
So he's never actually said, hey, I'm doing this for you, but I really don't want to do this. He's on board. You guys are aligned.
He does want to move to Texas, yes.
But you're just feeling personal guilt, even though he's never put that on you. It's just more like, I feel this for him on behalf of him.
Yes. Well, I would think about how I would feel with him missing my 2 children and how my kids would feel.
That's good.
I'm going to tell you.
Empathy.
I'm going to tell you. Oh, man. I can't wrap my head around a scenario where I would move across the country away from my daughter and try to reconcile that. Let me put it this way. After about a week, I'm unable to breathe right without my daughter around.
Exactly.
And so I can come up with all sorts of schemes to try to make myself feel better. But I'm telling you right now, after having worked with young people for 20 plus years, the question these young girls are going to ask, and they're going to be right to ask that question when they're old enough, is, what was so important about Texas that you left us?
Yeah.
And that's not a question as a dad I want to ever have to answer. And so I get, man, you miss your family or you want your kids to know your family. I would much rather see you take your kids to Texas once a month if that was so important to you. My wife, my whole family's from Texas. I'm from Texas. My wife's whole family, she just did a tour of Texas, seeing my family, her family. That's part of our annual pilgrimage, we call it every year. That's part of our life. And I want my kids to know their cousins, and I want my kids to know their grandparents. And Texas has very, very distinct Texas cultural things. I want them to know all that stuff. But we live here. And I'm going to tell you, man, I just can't see a scenario where that works out long term for your marriage, for your husband, for those little girls.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I know that's not what you want to hear, and I know you also have begun the golden ticket thing. Like, well, if we did this, we would pay off all this, and pay off all this, and pay off all this. Washington, D.C. is such an incredibly expensive place to live. It's a chaotic place to live. Its zoning is a zoo. Like, everything, I get it. And yet, that's where his 2 baby girls live.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if I'm you, I am taking, this is just me. I'm speaking to you as though you were my close friend, or you're my sister, or you're like, whatever. I'm taking that off as a variable off the table. The same way George and I tell people to take debt off the table, I'm taking that off the table. I'm not going to voluntarily ask my new husband to leave his daughters because I want my 2 little kids to know about Texas. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take that off the table, and then we're going to try to figure out, do we need to move 30 miles outside of town to make it more affordable for us? Do we need to downsize for a season? What does our life need to look like? Because this is our life. And you have to start changing your language to say this is our life, this is our family, not just you did this and you've got these kids and I wish we didn't have them or I didn't have them. You do. Okay, you opted into it. And the quicker you make peace with that, the more division you're going to have the less division you're going to have in your own soul, much less in your own marriage.
Okay.
Is that fair?
It is, yeah.
I know it sounds like I'm just being harsh, man, but
yeah, we actually did move further outside of the city to be closer to them, with the understanding that we would get to spend more time with them. We are dealing with a difficult ex-wife as well, so.
And there's that. Let's call a spade a spade. Your life would be easier without dealing with her, wouldn't it?
Oh, 100%. Yes, but it's not the case.
And those 2 little girls. That's right.
I'm worried about. It's my stepdaughters.
Yeah. How old are these girls?
They are 9 and 7.
Okay.
And mine are 1 and 3.
So you're talking about a 10-year plan. A 10-year plan for us to transition back to Texas. Which feels like 100 years until you think back. How old are you now?
I'm 37.
Yeah, think back to when you were 27. That was like 5 minutes ago, wasn't it? Yes, it was just a second ago. So you're going to snap your fingers and be 47, and you're going to have 2 like an 11 and 12-year-old running around your house, and you're going to have two, a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old, a 17-year-old and 19-year-old, and then y'all start your transition back if you still want to do it then. That would be my recommendation. Yeah, again, y'all do what you want, but that'd be my recommendation.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks so much for the call, Carol.
George, those are hard, man, because it feels like everything would be better if, and I'm just telling you, when you divide up families, when you split time from partners, when you split time from kids, it always has a price to pay.
Well,
always has a price.
It's going to be hard either way. But in our minds, we go, if we just did that thing, it would be so much easier.
Correct.
But you still have to figure out travel plans, and they got to go back, and it's still going to be different.
And not to mention, I just always want to fast forward to that 18-year-old girl sitting across a diner table from her dad saying, "Why did you leave me?" And that's never a question I want my daughter to have to ask me.
That's a good word, John. More of your calls coming up. Money, life, relationships, mental health, wellness. It all happens right here on The Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dr. John Deloney here. I'm a huge fan of both meditation and prayer. And good mental health includes slowing down, gaining control of your thoughts, and plugging into something bigger than you. And Hallow makes it easy to start a daily practice of meditation, prayer, and finding peace. Hallow is the #1 Bible app in the world, and you can tailor content towards your faith tradition. From scripture readings and prayers to meditation and journaling, Hallow makes it easy to practice prayer, meditate, and build a deeper, more meaningful spiritual life and rediscover true peace. Go to hallow.com/Ramsey today to get 3 months of Hallow for free. That's hallow.com/Ramsey.
I'm George Camel, joined by Dr. John Deloney this hour. This is The Ramsey Show. Free call at 888-825-5225. You call us, we'll talk about your life, your money, your relationships, your mental health, and wellness, all of it. Well, John, this article has been the talk of the town from big tech Apple, worth $2.6 trillion. And here it is from Forbes: why Apple's partnership with Goldman is the future of banking.
All right, let's don't blow by that. $2.6 trillion.
Yeah, I was joking during the break that is they're worth more than all of federal student loan debt in the nation, plus all credit card debt in the nation combined.
So if they just liquidated themselves, they could help us out. Come on, Apple, do us a solid.
Be a bro, Tim Cook.
Come on, TC. Let's just hook us up. Let's just liquidate the company. You guys have done a public good. You could wipe out all credit card debt and all student loan debt today.
And they'll be back to $1 trillion in revenue in no time.
I would commit to buying an iPhone for the rest of my life if you guys took that kind of stand, is all I'm saying.
I love it. Well, here's why they're being talked about as the future of banking. They effectively dropped the mic on the nation's banking industry, according to this article, by releasing a new high-yield savings account that is only available, get this, John, to customers with Apple's credit card. Talk about a genius plan. Oh, you want this little high-yield savings account? Open up a credit card first, and then you can have the 4.15% interest on your savings.
Well, I think they're probably going to try to do away with the distinction between a debit card and a credit card and just roll it all together.
One massive thing.
It's even do away with the idea. So it may be that our kids don't even know what a card is. It's just on their phone, right? It's on some sort of digital chip or some sort of something, but you just wave it over the thing. And if you got money in there, it pays for it. If you don't, we will cover you with the credit and you're good to go.
Well, and here's the thing. We've got a video to show you kind of some of the advertising around this, but the users can set up an account in minutes and check their spend rewards called Daily Cash, which is funneled into this high-yield savings account. And the account is displayed on a dashboard in Apple's digital wallet where users can track their balance and interest. And this product allows Apple to offer yet another sticky iPhone benefit by strengthening its built-in digital wallet. And executive president of financial services for a consulting firm said, it's really a flywheel of keeping everything in the ecosystem. Yeah, you think Apple wants to own you in every way, shape, and form. This is not the only thing they've done, John. There's more.
I was going to say, everything's been moving this way with this idea of, people are sick of carrying a wallet and a phone and an iPad and a thing. Let's just put it all in one thing.
So put the Apple credit card in the Apple digital wallet. You don't even need to carry the credit card.
It's inside the phone.
But you carry the card because it's titanium, John, and all your friends are super impressed
right.
with your metal card.
It'll be even better if I just wave my digital magic Harry Potter wand.
So heavy, it's so metal. You want real heavy metal, listen to Iron Maiden. Don't get an Apple credit card.
I'm more of a Pantera guy, but Iron Maiden's fine. Ryan Holiday loves Iron Maiden.
Well, here's the thing. This is just one of many steps Apple's taking, and they're no longer a tech company. They're a fintech company, financial technology. And they also released this new Apple Pay Later, which is their version of Buy Now, Pay Later. And here's where they're genius, John. You can't charge interest, right? There's no interest, no fees. Well, how does Apple make money? Number one, through interchange fees. They charge to business owners every time you swipe that card or use their Buy Now, Pay Later service. And the other way is by your account overdrafting. Because when you made 19 different transactions with Apple Pay Later and you forgot, and all of a sudden your bank overdrafted, who is the finger pointed at? Your bank for overdrafting. Apple's not the bad guy. It's the bank's fault for these overdraft fees. It's out of control. Or look in the mirror and go, this is my problem. This is not a good money management system to do Apple Pay Later and use the Apple credit card to get the high yield savings. Just skip the ecosystem entirely and own your own future.
Well, and the ethos of Apple has been, let's take over industries that are moving too slow. And I think there's a case to be made we're seeing bank failures. They're so slow to operate, and everything's got to run through these state and federal organizations. They did it to communications. They did it to music. And there was some talk they were going to do it to higher ed, and now they're moving over to the banking industry. Doesn't surprise me, but man, it feels a lot like Sears. When Sears had the corner on stores, like where you went and bought goods and services, and as they begin to lose their grip on the monopoly, if you will, of goods and services stores, they shifted to another way to make money. And after a while, they just became a credit card with some stuff out front. And I'm wondering if the days of nobody had ever heard of an iPod, all of your music on one tiny little thing, and then all of the phone, and then the iPad was magic, the MacBook Pro was magic, Apple Watch is cool. I wonder if they're looking in the mirror going, dude, we can't just reinvent the world every few years. We got to move to another industry, and we're going to slowly start to transition our company we're a credit card company with some shiny stuff out front.
Yeah, and to hear me say, I'm not an Apple hater. I used to work at the Apple store. If you can't tell, I look like every Apple employee you've ever seen in your life. All Apple devices all over. I mean, I love their product, but you're turning into the product, America. When you sign up for these high-yield savings accounts with the credit card and use Apple Pay Later, and it's all slick and it's all frictionless, and all of a sudden you're broke wondering, okay, I have a titanium card, but I have nothing in my bank account. This is a problem. So don't fall for the traps that Apple is setting out for you. I'm fine if you use the products, just not their banking products. Stick to, a normal bank for that. All right, let's go to the phones. Amy joins us in Dallas. Amy, welcome to the show.
Hi. Quick question, and please explain your answer why. That's my main question. But
I feel like my professor.
That was a flex, Amy.
I like to geek out like you do, George. So please, because I can't get my head around the math.
Okay.
Is it better to utilize my HSA as an investment account, or leave it as is for medical expenses as I need in
That's
my
a great
daily
question.
life?
Yeah. So what you're talking about, for those that don't know what the conversation we're having, this is a health savings account that is tied to a high deductible healthcare plan. And I love the HSA, if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, because of its triple tax benefits. So you can put money in tax-free, the money grows tax-free, you can withdraw the money tax-free. And another benefit is you can invest the money once you hit a certain threshold. So for example, it might be $1,000. When you have over $1,000 in that account, any money beyond that can be invested just like your 401k into growth stock mutual funds.
Right.
So you're saying, hey, should I leave the money in there to grow, or should I use it for healthcare expenses?
Correct.
I'll tell you what Dave Ramsey does and what other wealthy people do when they're able to cash flow those medical expenses. They leave it, and they use it as another wealth-building, tax-advantaged account as part of their strategy. And so if you're able to cash flow, the math works out to where you're better off letting compound interest work its magic on the investment side, and you just cash flow those medical expenses out of pocket. So the math that you're talking about, I assume, is, well, the HSA is tax deductible, and so I could save on that side, but I'm also kind of gaining on the compound interest side. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I'm trying to think, do I think of it more of almost like a 529? Like, obviously I could cash flow college, but there's a reason why I'm saving for that now and for 20 years before my kids turn 20 or 18. But I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around.
I personally max my HSA out, and I spend out of it. Both.
Right.
I've got 2 little kids that are accident prone. I'm accident prone. And so it's an investment vehicle that I get to withdraw from. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
So you can do both.
Not necessarily like an emergency fund, but like an investment vehicle that I also, and I guess that's a third option. Do I do both, right?
Yeah,
I use it?
I just do
if
both.
an emergency happens, I can easily pay for an emergency.
Yeah, if I wake up in 20 years and I've saved more than I've spent, that's awesome.
And you also hopefully have the emergency fund. And so you can also use that to dip into to cash flow those expenses and leave that money there. The other cool benefit is that once you're of a certain age, I believe it's 60 or so, you can kind of use that account as like a 401k. You can use it for things beyond healthcare expenses. You just won't get some of those tax advantages. So it's a great tool. You can crunch the numbers, but I wouldn't sweat it. You're in such a great place. Use it if you have to. Leave it if you don't need to. This is The Ramsey Show. This is The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined by Dr. John Deloney this hour. The number to call is 888-825-5225. Hey, if you like the show, do us a quick favor. The show is free, and what I'm asking you to do is free. Please consider hitting the subscribe button, hitting the follow button, leaving us a review wherever you're listening, and sharing this with a friend. Dave always jokes that we have about zero marketing budget for the show because you guys are the marketing budget by telling your friends about this.
And if you're like me and you see these numbers with people borrowing money to prop up their lifestyle, you see people struggling to get out of debt or falling for payday lenders or whatever is going on, and you just get so frustrated. It's honestly, George, when we sit down with people, it's almost always a matter of education, teaching somebody. And they go, oh my gosh. So many people have said, yeah, I heard Dave Ramsey 20 years ago, and it's just been a thorn in my side because I knew it.
You can't unhear it. That's or unsee it.
And if you will just do something as simple as like or subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star review, it just throws the show up in people's feed, and it gets that information all over the place. It's more effective than any billboard we got because it's such a personalized experience, and it's just simply you going, I want to change my community for the better. Like and subscribe. Ta-da! And you've helped your community for the better.
It's that easy. Thank you for doing that. George joins us up next in Columbus, Ohio. George, welcome to the show.
Hey, George. Hey, John. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
So I'm 29 years old, recently engaged. I love my life. She's awesome. And I have a question about our kind of situation. So we both went through Financial Peace University together a couple months ago, obviously doing it together, but keeping our finances separate until we get married.
Awesome.
I'm in baby steps 4 and 6. She's in baby step 2. So my question is, obviously we've been through Financial Peace University, but what can I do and we do together, whether it's from the financial side or the relational side, to put ourselves in the best position possible when getting married in July?
How much does she owe?
So she owes about $220,000.
Yeah, y'all should break up, man. I'm totally playing. Don't do that, George. Don't do that.
Don't do it. What's she do? Is she working or is she still in school?
So sort of in school. So she's in her residency for medical school. So she, all of her debt is the medical school student loans. So she's going into year 2, starting here in a couple of weeks. So
okay. So what will y'all's income be when you get married?
when we get married, our income together would be roughly 170 gross.
Okay. And then it would go way up after she's done with residency?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Are you able to cash flow the rest of this? She have 2 years left after this or 3 years left? Or is she going to some sort of specialty?
Right. So the debt itself is done. So she's actively working in her residency. The schooling's done.
Okay.
She's making an income now with the residency.
Yeah, it usually just depends on the type of residency. How much longer does she have after this? She's in year 2. How far is she going to go?
Just 2 more years. So 2 years starting in July. So she'll be done in the summer of 2025.
Okay.
Cool. So you're right on the path. You're doing all the right things. Keep the finances separate. She's running her own race right now until you guys are married. And up until then, what you can do is stack up as much cash as you can. Obviously, be sure to cash flow all the wedding expenses. And once you're back from the honeymoon, we're going to make that joint account. We're going to lay it all out and go, how much debt do we have left? How much do I have in savings above the emergency fund, or even taking that down to $1,000 for a little while? And how can we clean this up fast? And making 170, if she has 220 in debt, is that all of her debt?
Correct, yeah. It's just the medical school debt.
Okay. So looking at this, I'm like, cool, can we live off 60 and throw 110 at the debt and be done with this in 2 years? And boom, all of a sudden, we're debt-free, and now the income is spiked because she's done with residency, and now we're making hundreds of thousands of dollars completely debt-free pretty soon into our marriage.
And here's the cool part. I know they've actually dialed back a lot of the hours on the residency. What's her hour load now? What's like an average week for her?
It's on a rotational basis. So in 8-week chunks, she goes to different rotations. Sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's up to 80.
Yeah,
so it
okay.
just kind of depends on the rotation.
I knew it used to be the days of the 120 hours. You sleep 4 days, 4 hours a week. Those are over. But here's the deal. What George just said is so right. And if y'all look at your relationship over the next 2 years, I can't think of a better time for y'all to constrict your discretionary spending, because she's going to be working a lot and you're going to be working a lot, and her head is going to be learning like she's never learned before, trying to make sure people aren't dead, all that stuff. You're going to be learning how to be married. She is too. But this is a perfect moment for y'all to really collapse your big budget stuff and just budget for food, take your lunches, make breakfast together in the morning, have dinner at home when she's able to get home, and really constrict your day-to-day spending. Can you just imagine for a second? She walks across that stage at graduation. She is done. She is a licensed medical doctor, and y'all owe nobody anything. You realize you have won at that point, the cosmic lottery? It's over. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's something we're definitely looking forward to, and day by day, taking it step by step.
There you go, man.
It's a vision we have for sure.
Here's an important thing, and Dave has taught me this privately. Just us sitting, like, it's just a blessing that I get to sit by him and dig into his wisdom. Keep the ratios in mind. How much money do you make by yourself at your job?
My current job, I make $100,000, and then I have a side hustle where I make about $5,000 a year.
Okay, so you make $100,000, and you're a hard worker. You got 2 jobs going, so you make $105,000. $220,000 sounds like $1 billion, and it feels out of control and somewhat insane. if you just extrapolate out the fact that you're marrying a medical doctor who's going to make salary X, Y, or Z down the road, the ratio of this debt becomes a little bit more manageable. In simpler terms, you got a big hole, but you're going to have a huge shovel to fill it back up with. Does that make sense? So keep those ratios in mind. And again, George said it right, man. Y'all get a plan together and just don't deviate from the plan. Stay on the plan, stay on the plan, stay on the plan. And y'all going to look up in 2 years. Don't buy new cars. Don't buy fancy apartments. You're going to look up in 2 years and owe nobody anything. Your wife's going to smile with that big MD, and you're going to smile, and it's going to be game on. It's going to be awesome.
I'm pumped for this, George.
Yeah.
You're on the path, man. You excited?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something going through financial peace. We got fired up, and now it's just, I kind of expected what you guys were going to say to some degree, but hearing it and validating it is definitely encouraging.
Let me say this. You know what I want more than anything? I want an entire swath of medical doctors to not have any student loan debt. You know why? Because then they can practice medicine exactly as their heart leads them. And they can practice medicine that is evidence-based and not hospital administrator based. They can look at individual patients and make individualized decisions, because if somebody gets mad that they quote unquote stepped out of line, who cares? I don't owe anybody anything. When you have a group of professionals that are in that powerful of a position that don't owe anybody nothing, then they can lead with their expertise and their heart. And now you've got, as Peter Attia says, you got medicine 3.0 at that point. They can stop. You know what? I'm not going to prescribe you medication. You need to start exercising. And then when they get enough complaints, they can say, okay, I'm just going to go to a hospital that fill in the blank, right? So, man, good for you. This is your wife's the kind of doctor who is going to change the healthcare system for my kids. So good for you guys, man. I'm grateful that y'all as a couple exist in the world, man.
When's the wedding? You got a date?
Wedding is July 6th, 2024.
Oh, so you got some time.
Move it up. What are you doing?
What are we doing, man? Love of your life.
She's going to meet some smoke show at some resident dude. I'm telling you. Move it up.
I'll try. I'll talk to her tonight.
Yes. Justice of the peace this weekend.
In the meantime, making $100,000 for the next year, how much money could you save up so that when you guys get married and you have that joint bank account, you go, honey, I got $70,000 sitting here ready to start knocking out this debt. She's going to give you a big old smooch. I'll tell you that much right now.
Gross.
That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate my co-host, Dr. John Deloney, all the folks in the booth keeping the show afloat, and you, America. We'll be back before you know it. Hey, George Camel here. If you love the show and you want a deeper dive on your money journey, we've got a weekly newsletter that gives you helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for the newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm George Camel, joined by Dr. John Deloney, and we are taking your calls at 888-825-5225. You jump in if you've got that burning question, you need a third party who is unbiased in a sense and a little biased towards helping you get to freedom and get to wellness. We are here for you, whether it's about your life, your money, your relationships, you name it. 888-825-5225. Brandon is in Boise to kick us off. Brandon, what's going on?
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
I was wondering if I can get some advice on how to navigate the baby steps after a divorce.
Sorry to hear. How fresh is this?
Currently ongoing.
Still going on. Okay. Not finalized yet.
Almost.
Man.
When you say almost, I've heard almost then roll out to be another year. So have you already reached a settlement and signed everything?
Not yet. Everything has kind of been drawn up, and we're in the final stages of going through reviewing and signing.
Okay.
So hopefully within the next couple months.
Okay. So, what's the state of your financial situation? I know there's a whole bunch of emotional stuff going on. The whole thing's a mess. What's your financial situation?
So, we ran the Dave Ramsey program about 12 years ago at FPU, paid off about $250,000 worth of student loans.
Wow.
And are currently debt-free.
Okay.
Outside of a mortgage. And as part of the settlement, she's going to get the house and everything and refinance into her name. I'll be renting for at least a year, just to kind of, I don't want to make any big moves.
Yeah, it's very, very wise. Is she writing you a big check for your piece of the equity there?
No. There is, due to discrepancy in wage earnings, there's an unequal division of property to offset spousal support.
So you're not having to give any spousal support as long as she gets the house? Is that the idea?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
So you'll have no alimony on the back end?
That's the current agreement.
Okay.
Again, still kind of pending.
What happened?
Addiction.
Okay. How are you now? You don't sound good.
I'm struggling. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Are you struggling from the reality of this? Are you struggling from the what comes next? What are you struggling with?
Everything.
Who's walking through this with you?
Do you have anyone in your community, friends, professionals that are walking with you?
No, it's just me.
I need you to hear me say this as direct as I can and as true as the sun's going to come up. You got to have people that walk alongside you in this, dude. You can't do this by yourself. What was the addiction?
Alcohol.
Okay. Are you still drinking?
It's not me.
Oh, it's not you. Okay.
No.
How long are you all together?
11 years.
Do you have little ones?
We do.
Have you guys figured out custody?
Yeah, it's going to be split. It's going to be split down the middle.
Is that safe?
I believe so.
Okay. One of the hardest things about being married to somebody, being in love with somebody that struggles with addiction so deeply, is that you have that person in your life, but they're not there. And you spent a decade trying to figure out what about the situation was your fault, right?
Yeah.
You've been trying to solve this for a long, long, long time. And there's something to be said for the closer this gets to reality, the closer this gets to finality, you're going to have the sense that you failed something. And I want you, in the darkest moments, man, I want you to remember at least my voice telling you, you did everything possible to try to make this thing work. And the challenge was that your wife was sick and she's struggling. And you did what you could do. And that's not going to bring you joy, but it might bring you just a glimmer of peace. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
And I want you to be very hyper vigilant about those kids.
I'm trying to be that. They're my entire focus.
I know
right now.
But listen, the greatest gift you can give them is by making sure their dad's okay. Because what they need is somebody that's totally present, because they haven't had a present mom in a long time, have they?
Not so much.
Okay. They need a dad who can laser in, and dad can only laser in when dad's whole. Dad can only be whole if he's got a gang. If he's got a couple of men in his life that will show up at 2 a.m., that he can text at any time, if he's got a counselor that he can talk to, if he's got a group, he's got to have somebody in his life. Because if not, you're going to end up using those kids as an oxygen mask so that you can breathe to get through this grief, and that's not their job.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So you have to do the weird, uncomfortable, awkward work of making friends with people at work or inviting people over or reaching out to local church, whatever that looks like. I'm just telling you, as sure as the sun comes up, you've got to have people in your life to make it to the other side of this thing. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Is that fair? So talk to us about baby steps, man. It sounds like you don't owe anybody any money. It sounds like you're transitioning to a rental property. It sounds like, if I'm reading between the lines, you went way, way, way above and beyond to make this divorce easy on her and just said she can have the house and I've got a much more viable opportunity moving forward to get myself another place. You can get on your feet. You love this woman so much, you can get on your feet better than she can. Fair?
True. And as part of that, I get to keep the retirement accounts that I had.
Sure.
And everything else like that.
Just
so
made it
that's
clean.
Kind of where,
So where does this put you? Once you're renting, do you have a pile of money and no debt?
I'll get some cash assets from the property, the shared property.
Okay. Call that your emergency fund?
Hey, hold on. I want you. Let's do this. I want you to stay on the line because we're gonna hold you over to the next call. We got a commercial coming up, but we're gonna hang on to this because I want to finish this call and make sure we give you the amount of time that the severity of this call entails. So hang on the line real quick, brother, and we'll be right back after this break.
Well, you've all played the telephone game. The first person whispers a message to the second person, who whispers it to the third, and so on around the table until the original message has completely changed. Multiply that confusion by 100 if you run a business with different software systems that don't talk to each other. That's why there's NetSuite by Oracle. In the early days of Ramsey, we were using different systems for all of our business units. We needed one single source for accurate data. NetSuite was the software we used to optimize and take us to the next level. NetSuite gave us the visibility into all of our numbers so that we could communicate across departments and plan ahead better. And as we grew, it scaled with us. NetSuite worked for Ramsey, and it will make a difference for your business too. Join the more than 34,000 customers who trust NetSuite to help make them smarter and make better decisions and level up their operations. To learn more, get a free product tour at netsuite.com/Ramsey. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm George Campbell, joined by Dr. John Deloney. We were talking to our friend Brandon in Boise before the break, who's going through a messy divorce, dealing with a spouse with addiction and little ones involved, and figuring out the next steps, both financially, mentally, relationally, and we've got him on the line to continue helping him out. Brandon, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Cool. So where did we leave off? We were talking about some of your finances. You said you were in good financial shape. You're getting some assets in cash from this. What does that look like?
So I'll probably get probably close to $40,000 worth of money, which I'm going to throw towards building my emergency fund.
Okay.
Perfect.
What's your income?
That's going 200.
Awesome. And that won't change?
No.
Okay. And you said you're going to rent for a year and then just figure out what's next later on down the line.
Correct. And then I'm just kind of wondering, because I have a bit of money saved because I've been saving for a number of years for retirement. And I probably have about $400,000 in between Roth IRAs and 401ks.
Good.
And then should I, given that I'd like to buy a house and save up for a house, would you recommend pausing putting into retirement to get a bigger down payment and less of a mortgage for a house, given that I kind of have some monies in there as it is, or just kind of keep going with the plan as outlined?
If I made $200,000 and I had an emergency fund and I was investing, I would keep on investing and shovel as much of that income into that down payment. And if you don't sound like you're living super lavishly, so set a goal and say, hey, could I put away $100,000 a year into a high yield savings account and just let it sit there until I'm ready to buy a house? You could have $200,000 in 2 years, right?
I hope so, yeah. So would you recommend then holding off on retirement, putting additional funds into retirement for right now until I save up that money?
I would just, because you're in this storm right now, if you're going to be out of this thing in a few months, it's okay to pause the baby steps during a situation like this until you know what's next. And so if you just want to pause and stack up cash because we just don't know what the next few months holds, lawyer fees, who knows, deposits, we just don't know what's coming, what those cash assets will actually end up being. So if you want to pause for, the next 3 months and let this thing shake down, and once that the dust settles, we can go, all right, we got $40,000, we're going to get back to investing 15%. I make $200,000. I have a goal to set this much amount aside for a down payment, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So I think financially you're fine. The part that worries me is what John was talking about, which is the fact that you're doing this all by yourself. Do you have family nearby?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any family nearby?
No, all my family's on the East Coast.
Was there health scares or infidelity involved?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me if I'm on the right track here. One of the things I hear most common from somebody who's been in a relationship with somebody where they cheat on them is that you lose trust in the relationship, you lose trust in the other person, but most terrifying is that you lose trust in yourself. I should have known this was happening. I can't believe I knew something was off and I didn't trust my gut. I just kept going. I just kept putting it off because I wanted this to be okay over here. And there becomes over time, and this is kind of universal when you're in love with somebody and you're trying to make a relationship work with somebody who's really struggling with addiction, is you find yourself separated from you. And you find yourself way out on a limb doing things and thinking things and being okay with things that are so disorienting to who you are at your core that you feel lost, as though you don't even know the way back to yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so when you find yourself like that, number one is we kept harping on this, but I want you to hear me say it. Other people can become your lighthouse in the darkness when your own feelings are not telling you the truth. Because right now your feelings are telling you it's all coming down, everything's falling apart, you failed at this, you're the worst ever, fill in the blank. Those are lies. They're not true. But it's really hard to wade through that when it's just you and an out-of-control dopamine system and a serotonin system that's left the building. So having friends to be like, no, we're good. We're going to the gym. We're going to do this. Hey, I know you're about to send this email. Don't send that email. That's all important and well and good. The other thing is to have some very clear goals written down. And goals not like, crush your goals, bro. Not like David Goggins kind of stuff. I'm talking about, I want to get this much money as in a down payment. I'm going to write that down. And when I get that dollar amount, I'm going to exhale. Because your brain's going to want to move the finish line on you. And it's going to want to move it again. And it's going to want to move it again. And when I get this much, I'm going to kick my retirement full tilt again. When I get this much, after 7 months, I'm going to start looking for houses and I'm going to buy in 10 to 12 months. I think you are wise beyond measure to wait 6 months to a year to buy a house. It's super, super wise because this whole thing is sideways right now and it all feels like a forest fire. You got to wait till the smoke clears. But you write these things down and you live and die by these numbers that you put down, and you don't get carried away with emotions and feelings during the time when your emotions and feelings are all over the place, okay? So those are the two important things. Get people and get some very clear metrics of success, and regardless of how you feel, regardless of whether you feel motivated or not, we're going to keep pushing ahead and taking the little step and the little step and the little step every step of the way. And remember this. The greatest gift you can give your kids right now is that their dad is okay. Because those kids need peace, and their dad needs peace. And you give them that in the midst of all this chaos, that's a great, great gift. So dad needs to go to the gym. Dad needs to hang out with friends. Dad needs to go back to church. Dad needs to do those things that keep dad whole and well. And that's going to be a great stabilizing gift for those little ones. Thank you so much for the call, my brother. Anything we can do to help you, let me know. There's actually somebody out in the lobby from Boise that said they'd love to be a contact for you, so we'll make sure we loop back and get you the opportunity. We're not going to give them your contact number, but we'll send you their contact information if you want to reach out there. Just somebody saying, hey, I'd love to go hang out and get some nachos too.
The other thing I'm going to do is send you Dr. John Deloney's book, Own Your Past, Change Your Future, to help you grieve what's happened, to give you a picture of how to move forward. And we're also going to have our team send you a link to our blog article from Dr. John Deloney. It's a divorce checklist that really walks you through in detail of kind of what you need to be thinking about right now, because you can't even think clearly. And so I hope this article helps. We're also going to link that article in the show notes or the description, wherever you guys are listening out there, the audience, so that if you're going through this, you know someone who's going through this, you can offer them this resource, this article that Dr. John has put together. Because, man, there's so many things to think about, John, and the last thing you're thinking about is that checklist of, okay, what do I got to do next? What do I got to do next?
Well, you just got 500 people telling you 500 different things. You got your lawyer telling you one thing, let's go to war. And then you got your spouse who's not well or not whole, or who broke your heart, but you still love them, or they're still the mother or father of your kid. There's so much chaos. And then you have the nuts and bolts, like how much is the house worth and the retirement accounts and how do we split this up? I'll trade you this one for this one, all that mess. Then you got your buddies from college like, let's do this. And then you got your friends at work. It's just so much mess. And having something where you can just go through and say, have I covered this? Have I covered this? Have I covered this? Can be such a gift.
Yeah, that's huge. And a huge key with any divorce is not making any big financial changes you don't have to make. Just let it sit 6 months, 12 months. Don't make any drastic changes, because truthfully, it's hard to be thinking clearly. And we know that, divorce turns marriage into a business transaction. And so you do have to be thinking about, okay, what about those retirement accounts? Let me get my ducks in a row. Let me make sure the banks are separated if they need to be separated. Be working with professionals, lawyers, mediators, whoever is in your corner to help you figure this stuff out. You don't have to do this alone, whether it's insurance pros, you name it. We can get you connected at RamseySolutions.com to help with that process. And again, we'll link the divorce checklist article from Dr. John in the show notes or description wherever you're listening or watching. Man, that's tough. We're cheering you on, Brandon, to figure out what's next, create that new picture, to grieve, to heal. I know you're going through this and so many other people are, and it's a tough situation. This is The Ramsey Show. Our Ramsey apparel has been flying off the shelves, and it's not just because that stuff is cozy and fits nice. It's because people are proud of the progress they're making with the baby steps, and they want to show it off to the world. And I love when folks visit us from all over the country, and they're rocking that swag. We're so proud of you guys. And that's why for a limited time, we're knocking $5 off every single Ramsey t-shirt, sweatshirt, and hoodie while supplies last. You can choose from your favorite Ramsey sayings like live like no one else, cash is king, better than I deserve, or I heart George Camel. Okay, that one's not on there, John, but I think that one's next.
That's actually the reason why we're having to discount these to get them out of the building, because
it's a fire sale.
There was 3 people who bought I Heart George Camel, and they were all Whitney Camel, your wife.
Even she wouldn't don that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that
they were
much.
both comps, right? All 3 of them were comps.
It's fine. But there's plenty better merch out there. So whatever Ramsey's saying is your go-to, we've got you covered. But hurry, because once they're gone, they're gone. The swag is limited time only. So wear and share your story with $5 off Ramsey apparel for a limited time. Go to RamseySolutions.com/store today. Sarah's up next in Nashville, Tennessee, right down the road. Sarah, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. What's going on?
So my husband and I are wondering, should we pay off his mom or the government first for our student loan?
Ooh, Sophie's choice.
I'm not sure which one's scarier.
Yikes.
Okay, walk us through.
Who is scarier? She knows. Sarah knows.
I mean, I don't know if either one's scarier, but, there's that relationship, of course, with...
Well, one can ruin your life, and the other is the government. So.
Right.
All right, so what are the debts?
So we have $21,000 owed to his mom, and we have about $28,000 owed to the government.
The government being student loans or taxes?
Yeah, no, all student loans.
Okay. What's this $21,000 to your mother-in-law?
That she paid off our private loan in full so that we wouldn't have to pay interest on it. So we're just repaying her for that.
Okay. So it's $49,000 in student loans total?
About 48.
48. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your household income?
72,000.
Okay. And how much money do you guys have right now in the bank?
We have, about $1,000 in savings, and I mean, I wouldn't say we live paycheck to paycheck, but we got enough to pay our bills and expenses. So
okay.
I think we have,
any other debt, or is this it?
No, not. I mean, besides our house, no.
Okay. Woo. And what's the agreement?
One second. What do you do for a living?
I own an event planning company.
And what does your husband do for a living?
He's an illustrator and graphic designer, but he also stays at home with our kids and homeschools them.
Okay. And so who brings home the lion's share of the money?
Me.
What do you make annually?
I pay myself from the business $72,000, and so his illustration business is kind of here or there. So it could bring in a couple thousand a month, and then nothing the next month. It's kind of here and there.
Is there a possibility that mother-in-law could keep kids for a season while you and him doubled and tripled and quadrupled down just to get this debt paid off?
Not the one that we're trying to repay. She doesn't live here.
Okay.
My parents, they are newly retired, but I don't know if they would take on both of our kids.
Here's what I'm saying. You guys are up for a tough slog. Making $70,000, having to pay back almost $50,000 with one parent stay at home, one parent with an event planning business. That is, I mean, you happen to be in Nashville, so that's great, but it is seasonal and it is up and down, and it is hope it works out. 1 year of y'all figuring out what to do with childcare, and your husband working 3 jobs, and you taking this job, and then driving Uber in the mornings, just knocking this crap out of your life forever is going to radically transform the peace inside your home, your ability to parent, your ability to run your business. Everything changes if you all just take 1 year or 2 years and just go like maniacs and get this stuff done.
I could see it.
I know it doesn't sound fun.
Which one do you think we should focus on first? I mean, now that the interest rate's coming back on the government loan, should we just knock that one out first?
I mean, truthfully, I would pay mother-in-law first.
I'd pay my mother-in-law.
And it's not just a debt snowball thing because the amount's lower. It's also because you don't have to look the government in the eye over dinner.
Yeah.
It's a very different situation, and everything you do, she's watched every vacation you everything. She's going, wait, they owe me money, and they're out here. They just bought that. And so that's my other fear. And she could be a wonderful person who doesn't have that at all, but she still gave you guys $21,000 with the agreement that you were going to repay her. So what was that agreement? Is there a certain amount every month? Was there an interest rate, or was it just pay me what you can when you can?
She kind of just told us to pay her $250 a month,
We took a pause and was not paying her for a year or so, and now we've really started to pay off like a chunk at a time, like $1,000 at a time.
Are you keeping track of this?
Yes.
Okay. Is she keeping track of this?
I have it in a spreadsheet that she has access to.
Excellent. Okay. I'm so glad to hear you say that, because the number of people who call and like, I gave you 10 grand, like I only got $4,000. You get that mess with family. So good for you for that.
Yeah.
I honestly would just figure out a way to, even if it means getting childcare and your husband can earn above and beyond that. I know he wants to be a graphic designer and he wants to draw. Y'all dug yourself a humongous hole. So this is not the season to do the cool millennial advice of follow your passion, which is a terrible idea all the time. But y'all got to just run and gun and get this crap paid off, so that then you can be about what do we actually want to do with our lives. It's awesome.
Good word. All right, let's go to Brad in Seattle. What's going on, Brad?
Not much. How are you?
Good. How can we help?
I had a question. So I'm 24 years old, and I've saved up over the last 3 years, I've racked up about $100K in my 401k. And I have about $50K in my savings cash. And I was wondering what your guys' opinions would be to use my 401k to put a bigger down payment on a house. One, to avoid, PMI, and then also get a lower payment with the high interest rates right now.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I'll be truthful with you. It's a terrible idea. You're going to avoid PMI, but you're going to pay tons of penalties for withdrawing that 401k.
Right.
So it's not even a wash. You're losing big time on this deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not rob your future, because you've done such an amazing job. I mean, you're such an impressive dude to have $100,000 saved already in a 401k at your age, to where I'm like, why ruin all that hard work and rob the growth while also paying penalties? I mean, it's like taking a 30% loan on this money, 30% interest loan. So I would just pause and go, hey, if I don't have enough, I'm just going to keep saving for another 6 months and just delay this home purchase.
Right. And the only big factor I was considering is, yes, I'm still technically losing money, but 40% of that was company match. So I racked up that money really quick.
Oh, you're a guy that Vegas loves. Vegas loves you because you win a little bit of money and you think it's just Vegas's money, and they keep you at the table. And then they take it all. Once it's in your pocket, bro, it's your money.
Right.
It's your money, it's your money,
curious,
it's your
Brad,
money.
what is causing you to feel this level of urgency to where you're willing to get punched in the face in order to get into a home?
Well, I'm still living at home right now.
Are you wanting to get out? Is it a family? Is it relational problems? That's one you're going, I got to get out of here.
No, there's no problem. I'm just...
Get an apartment, man.
You said you were 21?
24.
24. Okay.
Get an apartment, dude.
I would go rent an apartment. If you can't afford it in Seattle, I'd get a roommate, make it a party for a while until you save enough to do this the right way. And that means using your future income, not your future retirement. That's what I would do if I was in your shoes, and I will sleep very well knowing I steered you in the right direction, my friend. Thanks so much for the call. This is The Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day comes from Proverbs 12:11. Those who work their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies have no sense.
It was Proverbs was predicting crypto.
Was that like the metaverse and crypto right there?
Yeah.
Slash once said, you can't wait around for destiny to give you what you think you deserve. You have to earn it even if you think you've paid your dues. That one was just for John.
I think that's the most words I've ever heard Slash speak.
Did Slash even say that? I feel like they're trolling us.
No, I think he played that on the guitar, and we interpreted it.
Well, the other day, they gave me a Shaquille O'Neal quote, and someone was like, hey, you know that was Aristotle, right? I was like, I thought it didn't sound like Shaq.
No, I think that sounds like Slash. That's about
fine.
right.
Good stuff. I'm George Camel, joined by Dr. John Deloney. This is The Ramsey Show, and up next, we've got Michelle in Phoenix. What's going on, Michelle?
Hi, it's an honor to speak with you both.
You as well.
My question is it financially smart to take about a $50,000 pay cut to work part-time and stay home more with my 1-year-old son? And if you'd like, I can give you a little bit more background of where we are in the steps and all of that.
Yeah, run us through your numbers.
Yeah, so I'm 30, my husband's 33. We're in baby steps 4, 5, and 6. We currently make about $215K plus bonuses. My portion of that income is $130K. Like I said, I'd be going down probably part-time with the goal of making probably $80K, but I think it feels like a very high goal for only working 20 to 30 hours a week. And our monthly mortgage payment, if it's helpful, is $1,670, and we owe about $230 left.
So what do you do for a living?
I'm a marketing campaign manager.
Okay, where did you come up with the number of 80,000 at part-time?
That's a good question. Trying to look at doing like part-time work and configuring like $20 to $30 an hour, plus potentially adding freelance on the top of that. So combining that, aiming for maybe $70-ish an hour combined, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so your husband makes about $90 a year?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. George, you can run through the math on this. I would just tell you, just given a cursory glance, if you and your husband have decided this is what y'all want to do, I wouldn't think twice about it. Okay. I wouldn't even think a second about this. Now, that is very easy for me to say as a man. I don't have half of the world telling me that I'm such a terrible human for working while I have a child, and the other half of the world telling me I'm such a terrible human for all of the sacrifice women made to get you in the workforce, and you're just going to stay at home with a baby. Like, I don't have that kind of guilt and pressure on me 24/7, 365. Okay? Not to mention my own career aspirations that I've got to balance between my own parenting aspirations. You've got a whole bunch more on your plate than I do. Okay? So it's easy for me to say that from this position, but man, if that's what's right for you and your family, that's what's right for you and your family. And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. You are going to feel guilty. You are going to feel like I'm not contributing. I'm not doing X. I'm not doing Y. Remember, we used to be able to do this because I was working. All those things you're going to feel. This is where it's important to choose guilt over resentment every single time. I'd much rather feel guilty that I'm not bringing in the money I used to be than resent my coworkers and where I work because I don't get to see my child, right? One of those poisons my body. The other one is a natural part of being alive. George, what do you think about the numbers?
So, Michelle, here's what the way you phrased the question was, is it wise? I don't think it's a wisdom question. It's are you willing to do whatever you have to do to make that work? And if that means we're willing to cut our expenses down, we're willing to slow down the house payoff, we're willing to forego a vacation in order for me to stay home because that's what I want to do, then great. But that's all you need to think about is, hey, this action has a consequence. Can we live with the consequence, which is we lose this income? And if you're able to make it work on, let's say, his salary alone, could you do that in the budget?
Yes, I think so. It would pretty much be about break even.
Okay. So if that's the case, I would sit down and make a mock budget. You can make a fake account with every dollar, and go, hey, if we just lived on his income, if I brought in $0 and decided I'm not going to work another day, can we still cover the bills, make ends meet, still invest for retirement, and make this work?
Is there a period of time that makes sense for how long you should be slowing down for? Or does that matter? Is it a family decision? I don't want to slow our financial goals so much that we look back and we're like, oh man, I wish I would have gone back full time.
Well, what are the
years
goals?
Ago. I mean, to pay off the house we have now and move into a nicer house. I want to be able to have more kids, send my kids to nice schools. Just I nothing like concrete, I guess. Just
you will be making some trades, no question about it. Also, it's really easy to make trades right now or be concerned about trades. Your husband's going to end up making more money. Mm-hmm. And you will be able to, they'll figure out technological ways for you to continue to work from home and make good money. And so you may have to, like, man, I really want to have this house or that house or whatever house. I promise you what your kids really want is a home that is non-anxious, a peaceful home. And so you can have, like, we got to go to this school or that school. I don't know, man. Maybe the local public school is great. And we'll teach them the faith of our choice at home, where it should be taught anyway. Like all these things that feel so heavy right now. Here's the scary thing. Is this your first kid?
Yeah.
How old?
He's going to be 12 months next month.
Okay. Okay, the fog is lifted from newborn, and you're starting to look out as this kid is kind of bumbling around the house and walking and kind of babbling. You're realizing your heart had another chamber in it that you didn't even know existed, that you didn't know you had the capacity for love like this. Your husband too. Yeah. You also are realizing it's almost as a parent, you look up and realize what an absolute dumpster fire the world is. Like, you know about it when you don't have kids, but you feel it when you do. And you're realizing, oh gosh, we got to do this and this and this and all that becomes that angst and that panic. You know what I mean? That's when sitting down and saying, what are the choices we're going to make for the next 6 months? And let's just ride 6 months. And then at 6 months, let's revisit it. And we're going to make the next change, because your kid can always just go back to school. You can always go back to work. You can always fill in the blank. Even if, they're with this school and they really have good friends, they're 6. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. But most parents think at 1 year of age, I've got to make the decision for the rest of my kid's life. And that's just, they put so much pressure. They torture themselves. It's not real. Do 6 months at a time. Maybe 1 year at a time your first year out. Because the first 6 months, you're going to be getting your bearings, and you're an executive. You're a stud. You're awesome at what you do. You make $130,000 working from home. You're good. It's going to be tough transitioning from, hey, will you approve this? Will you approve this? To poopy diaper, poopy diaper, poopy diaper, poopy diaper. Right. Hey, what's for dinner? Right. That's going to be a tough psychological transition, but you can do it. You just need a gang of women around you that you trust. But as you move forward, let's just make decisions 6 months at a time. None of these decisions are forever. And it should give you some peace knowing, if I don't like this in 6 months, then we're going to change it. And I'm going to go back to work. And we're going to say, I gave it the old college try, and it did not work. And we're going to do something else. That's all good.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Okay. Yeah, that's
let me just tell you, in my house, we did private school for a few years. Nope. We did wife working full time. She chose to go part time. We investigated that for a couple of years. She stayed at home, and then now she's back to working part time. Kids are in public school. We might move them back to private. We just are, whatever season happens to show up in our life. We didn't know that when we had our first kid that we'd be living. That was 3 jobs in 2 states ago. Who knows what the world's going to throw at you? Just do it in little incremental chunks, and man, keep those goals ahead of you. But yes, you're going to make some trades and slow down.
Yeah, and make peace with the decision. Don't always think, well, if it was the other way, what if? You just got to make peace with it. This is what we decided.
We're going to move forward. That's right.
And nothing is fatal here. Thanks so much for the question. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. My thanks to Dr. John Deloney, all the folks in the booth, and you, America. Until next time, spend wisely, save intentionally, and give generously. Hey, it's George Camel. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.